Hey guys, it's Maggie and I'm back today. And recently, I feel like I said something I shouldn't have online, where I talked about having an ostomy and how not everyone will adapt well to it, because that is the truth. And in thinking about that and looking at my own situation, how I came to be with a stoma, how it was so unexpected, and it was never meant to be this long. I was never meant to live with my stoma for this many years. It made me think about how that might be a really big reason people struggle to adapt to their stomas. So today, I'm going to be talking about how it came to be and how my ostomy originally was not meant to be permanent. It was supposed to be a temporary stoma, and I relied heavily on that to get through the few months that I thought I'd have it. So we'll chat about that today. But before we jump into it, I do want to thank my sponsor of this video, and that is Halo Ostomy Guard. Do you ever have this issue with your ostomy where your output pancakes right around your stoma, doesn't drain to the bottom of the bag, and it makes for a very uncomfortable time? It feels like your ostomy bag is going to leak. I used to have this all the time because high-waisted pants or just tight clothing in general put way too much pressure on my stoma and didn't allow it to drain properly to the end of my bag. I say used to because this is not a problem for me anymore, and that's because I have a Halo Ostomy Guard. You're probably wondering how an ostomy guard is supposed to help you with pancaking, and it's because this creates a nice little dome right over your stoma, allowing it to drain properly while protecting your stoma. It's got a dual function. It's so low profile, so discreet, and hides beautifully underneath of your clothing. And it adheres directly to your ostomy bag, so there's no slipping and no sliding. This is the most comfortable ostomy guard and anti-pancaking device that I have ever tried. Get your hands on your own Halo Ostomy Guard by going to haloostomy.com, and you can use my discount code LetsTalkIBD for 15% off. Plus, Halo Ostomy, as well as myself, are donating $100 to Friends of Ostomates worldwide. So they're just a fantastic company, and I can't recommend them enough. Thank you, Halo Ostomy, for sponsoring this video. What a fantastic product for all of my ostomy friends. I rely on it very heavily, as you saw. Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk about how I thought my stoma was only going to be around for about 6 months, and here we are 16 years later. Still going strong. Leroy and I are best buds. When I was 16, I had pretty severe Crohn's disease, just inflammation and strictures all throughout my small intestine, a little bit in my colon, and in my rectum. And the rectum was just absolutely the worst stricture that I had. I think way worse than any of the surgeons or the doctors on my case realized. And so I went in for a removal of some of my strictures, not including that rectal one, because you could palpate it from the outside. It was that far. It was not in a place that could be removed and me maintain function. So they removed the strictures elsewhere, and things seemingly went well until they didn't. About 6 or 7 days after my original operation, all of the reconnections that they made after removing the bad parts, they all fell apart. They fell apart inside of me, and I got very, very sick. I was still in the hospital, thank goodness, but, you know, that's kind of all a blur. And so what happened was they opened me up. It's why I have a really big scar down my belly, and they cleaned out everything that they could, everything that I had eaten that week, and they gave me a stoma. And I don't know why, but before going into any of these surgeries, I just had this funny feeling that I would wind up with an ostomy. I remember going into my dad's room a few nights before surgery, or maybe the night before surgery, saying, you know, I think I'm going to get an ostomy. And I was given a very, very low chance of winding up with one, and look how it worked out. Woke up with an ostomy eventually. I don't know why I felt that way. Maybe just I could feel how sick I was, and I just didn't think that a resection of my intestine was going to do it. I don't really know. But I woke up from this surgery, and my surgeon, I think, just felt so bad about how things had worked out. I was not like I am today. I was so afraid of anything having to do with my Crohn's disease, whether it be getting a scope done or getting an IV or getting surgery. I mean, that is a big deal. Of course it is. And it is a big deal to me today if I were to have to go get more surgery. But I was not I'm different now. I don't know. Maybe I've been through too many surgeries. I was so afraid, and I think my surgeon knew that. And when this wound up being the outcome, like it felt like the worst possible outcome for me, having this piece of intestine stick out of my belly and having to wear this plastic bag and having to figure out how that worked and how we're going to get it to stick and how we're going to get my skin to calm down. That was miserable. So when I finally came to after all these surgeries, after being given my ostomy bag, my surgeon said, you know what, this is just temporary. This is to give your colon and your rectum time to heal without food having to go through it, without any irritation. Just let it chill, basically. Let's let it chill for 6 months to a year, and then we'll reverse you. And I remember he was trying to he was trying to make the situation the best that he could. He said, you know, when we do your reversal, I'm going to fix up your midline scar. I'm going to give you a belly button ring even. And, you know, my dad is a little bit more conservative. I wasn't even allowed to have my ears pierced when I was a kid. And he was like, that's fine by me. I don't care if it adds a little brightness to this situation, let it be. And it couldn't be any more safe because it would be a surgeon, a general surgeon, putting in my belly button ring. But yeah, he was trying to make the situation better in any way that he could think. And that's what I grasped onto that. I really hung on to the fact that this ostomy is temporary. This intestine sticking out of me is only temporary. I only have to get through a few months of this, and then I'll go back in and I'll be normal again. I'll be normal. And the funny thing is, my normal was not very good. It was not normal. I was so sick beforehand. But I guess I just hadn't known anything different for a long time. So just the idea of, oh my God, we're going to add a bag onto all these other symptoms I've had and everything I've been dealing with, that's going to be really terrible. Like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live with this bag on my side plus everything else. And so, you know, every post-op appointment after I got discharged, going to see my surgeon, I'd ask, is it time yet? Like, when are we going to do this? Until I slowly stopped asking that question, because what I came to realize was it wasn't sick Crohn's Maggie plus an ostomy bag. It was Maggie with an ostomy bag minus the symptoms because of the ostomy bag. And I started to be able to live life. And at 16 years old, when you're starting to date and you're starting to get out there and figure out what you want to do for work in the future, or go to college or things like that, you know, I felt like I was so held back being so sick. And then suddenly I wasn't. It was like I started to have this option. Like, oh, maybe we could just keep this another 3 more months and see how I do. Maybe another 6 months. Why not? Because I feel good. Let's keep riding this wave as long as we can, right? And then when I'm sick and done with it and I want my non-bagged belly back, we can go get the reversal. I guess for me, looking back, having to adapt to this ostomy bag, originally thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be temporary. It's going to be temporary, no problem. Just have to make it through 6 months to a year. And slowly realizing, and this is the key part, slowly realizing that maybe I could keep it longer until I didn't want to reverse it anymore. I think that really also helped me adapt to having it, because it wasn't just, you know, I got this temporary bag and that's what I thought, and then one day the surgeon suddenly said, we can't do it. Like, you have to get everything out. It was a 10-year process from the time that I got my ostomy that I thought was temporary to the day that I said, you know what, let's do the surgery to make this permanent. Let's get rid of the colon, rectum, and anus. Let's evict it all and go about our day. It was a 10-year process rather than just a flip of the switch night and day, thinking one day I'm going to get this reversed, and then the next day realizing no. That was really huge. And I think that for some people, this does happen, where it is a flip of the switch, and they are suddenly being told, you're going to have this for life, and you're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. That's not easy. If you have found yourself in that situation, going from temporary to permanent, That's why I wanted to make this video. That's why I wanted to talk about it, to talk about what long-term ostomy life looks like, not just the 6-month year mark of living with one, to give you an honest look at what it's like daily for me and how I just mentally became okay with it. In those early months, even those early years of having my stoma, I was still adapting. Sometimes I still feel like I am, like I'm still learning what to do and how to manage my stoma because my body changes, things happen in life, and I have to readjust. But especially in those first couple of years, I felt so uncertain, even though I felt so much better. Like I felt like my life had been given back to me. There was still so much uncertainty. I remember going into, I think, my sophomore year of college. That would have been 3 years into having my stoma. I was trying to find a brand new ostomy bag system, and I was trying so many things. This is around the time that I met my husband. I was trying so many different brands, and I felt like I couldn't get one to work for me. I was trying Coloplast and Hollister and Convatec, and there were certain aspects of different bags that I didn't like. They didn't work with my lifestyle. It didn't stick in the shower. It would peel up. So many different things. The filter would leak, whatever. I didn't like the drainable end. So many different things. And I remember there was a couple of months at least, or maybe 3 months of the fall of my sophomore year where I was like, how do I get this to work for me again? I felt like we were good for a few years there, and now what am I doing? Why do I feel lost? I'm 3 years into this. So there is this like almost constant adaptation. And eventually, after trying enough bags and trying enough accessory items with the bags, I developed a new routine. And I've gone through that a few times since, and we're 16 years into this now, where I kind of revamped my whole thing because whatever my system is that I'm using currently doesn't really work for me anymore. There's also been times where the skin around my stoma just freaks out. I don't even know how to explain it other than seems like it has a meltdown where it gets really irritated, really red, and I try a million different things to get my skin to calm down, get a bag to stick to me, make the skin stop weeping, and I really struggle with it. To the point where I have to go see a wound ostomy continence nurse to help, and I have to try a bunch of different products. Those moments that I talk about, like changing my whole system, having to deal with skin irritation, I think those have been the hardest points long term. But when it comes to day to day, my ostomy is not the first thing on my mind, as long as everything's working fairly well. It took a number of years for my stoma to just become a part of me, just like my hand or my ear or my foot, I don't know. Think of any body part. It took a really long time, but it did become that, where it's like I don't know, subconsciously, just like you move your hand without thinking, like it does what it needs to do. Subconsciously, I know what to do with my stoma. I have questions all the time. How do you sleep with your stoma? That was really scary. Like, oh my God, what if your bag fills overnight and pops and goes all over your bed? There were moments where that did happen. And that sucked. That really makes you feel like you're never going to adapt to it. 16 years later, though, the very first drop of a leak, like I've talked about this before, the very first feeling of a leak, any wetness, I wake up. Anytime my bag fills and I feel even the slightest tugging on my flange, I wake up. Even if I can feel my stoma being fairly active, it's actually quite annoying because there are times where I'm settling into bed, I'm getting tired, and I feel my stoma start to become active. I struggle to fall asleep because I'm like, is my bag going to fill up and I'm going to need to empty it soon? So my brain has adapted to that and recognizes the stoma as anything else, just like your body wakes you up when you have to pee. It's very similar to that to me. When it comes to the daily routines with it, going to the bathroom, emptying the bag, that doesn't feel any different to me now because I've gotten my routine down. I'm really efficient with it. I'm really fast with it. And recently I changed from a non-drainable end where I had a whole system on how I empty that to a drainable end. And I would say probably I've been wearing the drainable pouch now for at least 4 months consistently. And I have my routine down to empty it, clean the bottom of it really well. Whereas even just a few months ago, like over the summer, I felt like I would have really struggled with that. But it's just second nature. Anytime I feel my bags start to get bigger, I go into the restroom and I handle it. It's not a big deal to me. And I know there's people that are really concerned about leaving their home, going on a plane, going to work, going on a long car ride. What if their bag blows up? And there was a time where that really stressed me out, where I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do if my bag starts to get big and I need to empty it and it's not a convenient time, you know? Well, I started to think about, what if somebody like had to go to the bathroom? That does happen to the regular population, where they have to go to the bathroom and they might need to pull over on the side of the road, or they might have to pull into a gas station to go to the bathroom. I'm like, it's okay for me to do that. Like if we're taking a road trip, it's okay for me to say, hey, we gotta stop somewhere. I gotta deal with my bag. And I've actually learned it can be a little bit more convenient. I've had people say that, fully rectumed and coloned people I've had say to me, sometimes I wish I had a bag because it actually seems kind of convenient. I can handle this pretty much anywhere I go. I don't necessarily need a restroom to handle it. If I have all this stuff, if I'm prepared, which I have learned to always be prepared, I can handle my ostomy on the road and on the go. It's kind of convenient. I've just really paid attention to how my stoma acts, its patterns, its behaviors, and that can change over time, especially with like my Crohn's disease. My Crohn's has not been perfect over the years since having my ostomy. It's certainly been improved, but you know, you have flares sometimes, your output can increase, it can become more watery, so I kind of have to relearn the patterns. But I did learn the patterns, and it really helps me just throughout the day and throughout the night manage my stoma. I typically know, you know, if I eat at a certain time, within about an hour, I'll probably have to empty my bag. If I start to get too hungry and my tummy is grumbling, I'll probably have to empty my bag. Usually it's a little bit more gas than it is output. I know what foods tend to make it go a little bit crazy and what foods tend to help it slow down. I know the feelings around my stoma, what the skin feels like when, you know, I might need to do a change. It's gotten to the point where I can sort of feel a slight lifting or itchiness, and I'm like, you know what? I probably got maybe 12 hours with this bag. What does my schedule look like? Am I going to be out of the house within 12 hours? I'll probably just change it now. If I can buy myself a little time, maybe I can do that. If I'm not leaving the house, you know, I've learned it really well, but it took a lot of time, and I think that's so important. A really important message is just not to rush or expect anything when it comes to adapting to your stoma. Don't set expectations for yourself. Don't force yourself to be okay with it. You're allowed to be really ticked off that this is the hand that life dealt you. I know I certainly was. And I still am sometimes. Like I love my stoma. It's helped me so much. It's given me my life back, but man, it sucks to have one. It does. I see women in their cute little bikinis, and I love the beach, and I love swimming and stuff, and I'm like, I don't feel 100% confident because I have this bag. There are certain outfits where, like, yeah, as my bag fills, it might show, and wouldn't it be cool if I didn't have to worry about that, if I didn't have to like have this subconscious checking of my bag all the time. Like, I do it and it's not a big deal, but it is something that crosses my mind where I think about the Maggie that could have been. What would I have been like health-wise if Crohn's was never involved, if my ostomy was never involved? What would the things be that I would worry about I think that life would look really different. I don't know if that would be a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest with you, but it's hard having an ostomy, but I've certainly adapted well. I think it's also really important to not compare yourself to others online, particularly when it comes to adapting to your stoma or just trying to be okay with having an ostomy. Because I mean, I see some people online with their perfect stomas and their skin looks beautiful all the time and they have no scars, and I'm just like, man, they look like they're just doing really great. And I'm over here having a major leak, having to jump in the shower with all my clothes on. Like, you know, you can't compare yourself to people online, because you know what? They might not be sharing all of those really hard moments. It's hard to pick up a camera when your bag is leaking everywhere. I've tried it. It's hard. You don't want to compare yourself to people online, though. Don't compare yourself to me. Like, I feel like a lot of my bag change videos make it look easy because, you know, there's a lot of cuts and stuff in the video. I'm trying to make it timely and an efficient video for people to get the information from, but you're not seeing my stoma explode 17 times and me going through half a roll of toilet paper cleaning up the bathroom. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You're gonna get through it at your own pace. So if I had to sum this all up, you know I love to share a million thoughts and my brain goes in 17 different directions, but if I had to sum it all up, don't rush your acceptance. Don't even expect full acceptance of it, because it's okay to say this ostomy sucks. I hate having a stoma, right? It's okay to say that. It's okay to be fearful of, you know, going in for temporary ostomy surgery and having that fear of, what if I have to live with this the rest of my life? It does happen, and it's okay to be afraid of it. What I can say is, just being this many years out, having had surgery in 2009 as a 16-year-old, just not expecting to live with a stoma, and now being 32 and living a very full life with a husband and a baby and dogs and a garden and having worked as a nurse, like, there are ways to get there. Life is not over because of a stoma. It doesn't just happen overnight where you're like, I'm good, I can do this, I got this. It takes continual adaptation and learning and changing of supplies and reworking your routine and figuring out solutions, especially on the go, and figuring out what you can eat today that might not work tomorrow. But it does sort of become this subconscious thing that you do. It takes a lot of mental energy, and that's why I say, like, I feel like I'm continually adapting. It takes a lot of mental energy, but there does seem to be, for a lot of patients, a point where it becomes subconscious. It doesn't take as much mental energy, and you kind of just can roll with the punches. You're like, okay, we've had a similar situation in the past. This is what I learned from that time. Let me try to implement it now, and it gets a little easier with each hurdle that you face with your ostomy. Man, oh man, I could talk. Well, okay, so if you've ever had that fear of going into ostomy surgery, the fear of adapting to life with a stoma, or even just temporarily having a stoma, if you went in for a temporary one and wound up with a permanent like I did, you know, there is hope. It's really tough in the beginning. It can be really tough 16 years out, but life is good. I don't want to let a stupid little tiny piece of intestine or a plastic bag interfere with what I want to do, right? So I hope that you are able to not let it do that either. Thank you so much again to Halo Ostomy Guard for sponsoring this video. Please make sure to check them out in the description below. They are a fantastic company. I can't recommend them enough, so I'll put more details in the description below as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you're doing well with your stoma, or, you know, doing well as you lead up to your ostomy surgery. Thank you, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.